Built for Success, brought to you by Ram Trucks this week, taking a closer look at the game of the year to this point. It is number 2 Georgia visiting number 4 Alabama, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. There are so many implications, Gary. There are playoff implications. There are will Gary wake up in a good mood on Sunday morning implications.
That's also very true.
And we have a little bit of help here as we dive into this matchup at T-Town.
Because you know why? This game's going to have some offensive weapons and nice defensive weapons on the second layer. But this game, it's going to be one in the trenches. And there's only one guy who can help us with that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who's that?
That's right. Trevor Matich!
Come on, handsome.
The man in black.
Yes, black on black on black.
Oh, we got it.
Try?
First try, Trevor.
That's how it's
First try,
That's how
Trevor.
it's done.
Let's go.
You were trying
Let's go.
Okay, now do you feel the magic of doing that?
No.
Of getting that pop on that first try?
No, but I'm really happy that you're so thrilled about it. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right. Trevor's
I'll be
gonna
thrilled
dive-
enough for the both of us.
Trevor's going to dive in on the matchup, within the matchup, some of the storylines coming into this thing, and one of them is the fact that Georgia hasn't played in 2 weeks, and they didn't look great the last time they did play. Just a 1-point win on the road at Kentucky. What do they have to address this time out?
They have to clean up little things that they can fix. I mean, they did a lot of things that were just mistakes. And you've got to give Kentucky's defense a lot of credit because they did a lot of good things as well. They forced some mistakes. But here's an example of something that happened a lot in that game. So, Gary, I want you to come over here, and you are the Kentucky defender.
Oh, okay.
Okay? You're the
Am I getting around you?
Yes, well,
this will be easy.
we're about to find out. So there's going to be a screen pass thrown here. I am a receiver, and I'm going to block you on the screen pass. Now, I want everyone to look at my eyes. Now look at my eyes. I'm the Georgia blocker. When I say go, you go. I'm the Georgia blocker. Watch my eyes. Ready? Go.
Too fast. Oh! Boom!
Okay. That's what it looked like all the time.
Oh! You got two. You got two in a row.
We were getting a little
That was
overconfident.
Georgia's offense up at Kentucky.
did you
But
see
the thing
Blaze
is,
buy-in?
things like that are fixable. It's one thing if those guys weren't very good blockers on the perimeter, but those guys are good. Okay? They can do better than they did. Another thing was Carson Beck he missed some throws. He usually never misses. That's the Georgia quarterback.
Yeah.
So things like that with 2 weeks because of the bye, they can get better at, and I expect to see a different Georgia offense against Alabama.
I thought that was going to go a lot worse for me. Going up against freaking Trevor freaking Matich.
I was like, oh, okay. I was like tackling air? Like, what's the...
You know what?
I'm
what's
about
the
to
problem
die.
on that?
You could block Jadeveon Clowney.
Hey, we have a friend
with
who
that
thought,
kind of a...
We have a friend who thought he could.
Yeah.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Carson Beck obviously has to do his part. Jalen Milroe, on the flip side, what have you liked about his veteran presence, allowing for basically this changeover from Saban to DeBoer to kind of go off seamlessly thus far?
And that is a transition that has gone exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I love what Jalen Milroe has done. He's taken to the coaching, he's taken to the system, and he seems to be really thriving. Now, he was thriving and he was growing under Nick Saban as well. But what Kalen DeBoer is doing as a head coach that is a quarterback guru and an offensive guru has really helped Jalen Milroe take his game to the next level. Everything he's doing statistically right now is better than last year, but it looks better, right? He looks more confident in everything that he's doing. He looks like he sees the field better than he ever has before. And as good as he was last year, he's a lot better right now.
And that's scary because towards the end of last season, we thought he was going to sort of charge in the rear for Heisman contention. Obviously, not win it, but at least be included in the conversation.
Well, and it was that game against Alabama that really said, or rather against Georgia in the SEC title game, it was like, wait a minute, this is the guy that Nick Saban is waiting for all season. In that same SEC title game, Carson Beck, no touchdown passes. The Bama defense held him in check. What does he have to do better, differently for Carson Beck this time around?
Well, he needs to carve him up. I think you need to look at Texas when they played Michigan. Michigan's defense is legitimately one of the best in the nation, and Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback earlier this season, just put the ball where it needed to go, found every weak spot, and was accurate in delivering it to those weak spots. That's what Carson Beck does best. I mean, he can run enough, but he dominates you with his mind. He knows what you're trying to do. He finds where the weak spots are, and then he hits those. He didn't do it very well against Kentucky.
Yeah.
He needs to make that part of his game elite against Alabama.
Georgia has been the bell cow across the college football landscape since Kirby Smart took over down there in Athens. However, against the Tide, just 1-5 in the last 6 times they played. Yes, one of them was for a national championship, but now he doesn't have to go against Nick Saban across the other sideline. How critical is this win for Kirby Smart to beat the Tide?
Well, he needs to beat the Tide in order to have a good chance to get to the SEC championship game, because he's playing at Ole Miss, at Texas, and against Tennessee coming up. If he picks up a loss here, then it complicates his ability to get to the SEC championship game. That's important for the possibility of getting a first-round bye in the playoffs. But the same thing holds true for Alabama. I would say this about Kirby Smart in this game against Bama. Since Bama last won the national championship, Kirby Smart is 45-2 with 2 national championships. So I think the whole rivalry with Alabama from a standpoint of validating Kirby Smart as his own independent head coach, instead of Nick Saban's defensive coordinator become a head coach, that's already happened. So this game is about what it means for the season, not what it means for Kirby.
Okay, what about what it means for Kalen DeBoer? Because we were joking around about it. This is not a guy who grew up around the SEC, right? He's from South Dakota. He comes by way of Washington, sort of made his hay in Western football, and now he's in Alabama. I mean, he's at the Cathedral. What does a win over Georgia do for Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa?
Well, that's different because Kirby Smart at Georgia has made his bones, right? He's proven himself. Kalen DeBoer is replacing the greatest of all time. And a win over Georgia on the way to other things that they hope to get would validate that hiring. Now, he doesn't have to beat Georgia to be validated. I think he's already done a very good job. And there's a lot of things that point to the fact that the Alabama machine is continuing to run under Kalen DeBoer. But if he beats Georgia, if he beats Kirby Smart, then all of a sudden this new guy coach that everyone was wondering if he could keep the ball rolling in Alabama has fruit on the tree that, yes, I can keep the ball rolling at Alabama.
The thing about beating Georgia is if he does on Saturday night, he would be doing so as an underdog at home, which the Tide are never underdogs at home. That being said, Trevor, what's the deciding factor in this game and who wins?
Well, you guys mentioned Jalen Milroe, right? The Alabama quarterback. Deep passing from Milroe to his young receiver, Ryan Williams, who showed up at 17 years old.
Really young.
And everything he touches turns to gold, Ryan Williams. I don't think he realizes that football can be hard sometimes. Everything, it seems easy for him. But he is a tremendous deep threat, and his connection with Milroe on those deep throws has been phenomenal. Now, Alabama won't be able to bully Georgia's defensive front on just the offensive line, just pound it away. They're going to need to get those safeties away from the line to open up the running game and open up the short passing game in order to make those things work. And the connection of Milroe to Williams deep is what has to happen in order for the rest of Alabama's offense to work.
Who wins, buddy?
Georgia wins.
Okay.
Georgia wins.
Okay.
And the thing is, you've got at quarterback, you've got a playmaker in Jalen Milroe and a surgeon in Carson Beck. And I think the surgeon is going to pick them apart. I think he's going to move the chains. I think it's going to be not spectacular, but it will be relentless, and Georgia wins.
What do you got?
Give me Bama.
Yeah, I'll take Bama. I'll take Bama by 6.
Yeah! Oh! We got to end the segment
We're ending it there. Trevor Matich.
End it there.
We'll see you next week, buddy.
Catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.